Welcome to the Crystal Coach Show with me, your host, Anahata, helping you live every day with clarity, guidance, and practical wisdom. Are you feeling overwhelmed, anxious, maybe disconnected? Do you ever feel like you don't know how to live a life of peace and joy? I am Anahata Roach, the Crystal Coach, and during this show, we channel divine wisdom through stories of service, spirituality, and stones for self-care. The Crystal Coach Show leaves you with a feeling of connection and the clarity that takes towards becoming the best version of yourself as you hear from thought leaders and many others to help you ignite the crystalline nature of who you really are. Stay tuned. The Crystal Coach Show starts now. Hello and welcome to the Crystal Coach Show. I'm your host, Anahata Roach, and I'm just so excited today to just be here, be alive, and be present for the moment. Today, our topic is navigating life from a place of peace, presence, and passion. So let me ask you this. What if you could remain calm in the face of chaos so that no matter what life throws at you, your state of mind is unaffected? What would it take to get to that place? Well, today I'm talking with my special guest, Jesica Henderson, about ways to navigate life as it comes at you so you can reactivate your compass of inner joy and discover a true path for personal growth and prosperity. As always, the crystals and stones have a role to play. But let me start by telling you about my guest. Jesica Henderson is an executive producer at Transformation Talk Radio and the Dr. Pat Show. She's been a lifelong creative and musician, and her passion for learning led her to taking an internship with the Dr. Pat Show while she was pursuing an audio engineering degree. During that time, she fell in love with the idea of transforming the world through positive solutions. But because she believes in following her heart and saying yes to incredible opportunities, she stayed after completing her internship to learn everything she could about the business. She has been working with Dr. Pat and the network in various forms since 2011 and continues to grow and expand both personally and professionally. This year, Jesica has taken the next step in her own personal goals by launching a new show, The Possibility Perspective, where she brings her observations and questions to try and gain an even deeper perspective of the world. When Jesica is not facilitating transformation through the network hosts, co-hosts, and sponsors, you will find her exploring the mountains and paddling on Lake Washington, or learning and practicing new songs on the fiddle, guitar, clarinet, or ukulele. Pick an instrument, any instrument. She's very passionate about learning, and she continues to further her career in self-development, always pursuing opportunities to create, learn, and grow. Welcome to the Crystal Coach Show, Jesica.
Yay! Happy to be here.
Yeah. Talk about navigating through life, man. You are a poster child for following your inner compass of joy. Hey, didn't you tell me that most of your friend groups think of you as that one person who's always upbeat and annoyingly positive?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I've certainly found it to be true, but not annoying at all. It's just that when working with you, you are upbeat and you are positive. And we have had some amazing, amazing conversations over the last couple of years. And I really wanted to share you with my listeners. So, what do you think? Militant joy. That was a term that popped up the other day.
Yeah.
We were talking about feminism and joy, and I remember I wondered out loud about how the militant aspect could with the militant aspect actually of feminism has what we think of that could be in alignment with joy. Is militant joy a thing, right? But militant joy sounds like an oxymoron, but really it isn't if you define militant as activism, right? So what can it mean to be militant about joy? Thoughts?
So full transparency. The first time this came up, it was around feminism. And after, I didn't want to say it to you in real time on the call, but after we got off the call, I had to Google what militant meant.
It's got all kinds of synonyms.
But it does. But then when it came up in the topic of joy, it immediately for me, it meant this like, and you can use the word aggressive, like unwavering pursuit of joy. Right? This like unwavering pursuit, or like this armor of like, I am attaining this, or I am keeping this, or I am following this with a strength, with a perseverance of, because I think sometimes it takes that to remember or be in joy. It takes firm mind and action.
Right. Because I mean, I have said this on other shows that I've done, but joy is different from happiness in the way that happiness is situational. So you can go from thing to thing to thing, or situation to situation to situation, and find out whether you're happy or sad. But joy is something that's inside. And once you have it, it really kind of can be held in this time of uncertainty or in grief. And I've have experienced that personally. So that this it's so different. It's such a different frequency from happiness, because happiness is like ephemeral. You can't hold on to it, but you can hold on to joy once you learn where it is and how, and you clear out all of the blocks to it, right? You got to do your work. Yeah, it's not just that little pill that you're going to swallow and be done with. I always say that this life journey is kind of like this eternal onion peel. So you're just removing circle after circle after circle, just deeper and deeper and deeper. And a lot of people don't realize that they can do some superficial things and might feel a little bit better, but how much more they could go if they were committed, as you said, and if they were just really aligned with and continued to press through that commitment to getting it done, to working the deeper work.
Yeah. It's like the difference of, I mean, like you said, like you can be happy or sad and you can roll through emotions and chaos. But if there's this internal feeling and knowing that it's all going to be okay, or that it's all for a purpose, or that it's that guidance system that allows you to move through all of those other emotions and circumstances and things. And that's, as we were working through this the other day and talking about it, it just became clearer and clearer to me in my own journey of where I'm at with that, right? Because it also comes down to your internal belief systems and those subconscious beliefs, and
correct.
And those are the layers, right? That you're peeling, and you're finding that, oh, okay, so haven't quite healed that yet, right? And you're like, okay, this is a lesson in this, and having these human experiences while also staying really true to this inner core.
Exactly. And that's what, I feel joy is. It's like a compass inside. It's like this inner compass that you have that kind of guides you in times of uncertainty, in times of grief, and as we were talking before, in any kind of situation. Because I truly feel that the way that you respond to anything that's put at you is really determines your reality. It determines how things go for you. It's just that the moment of responding, you can respond from a place of fear or ego, or you can respond from this inner compass of joy that is just giving you guidance around what is the right path, what's the aligned way to perceive or to react from it.
So true. And so I'll say this to the listeners, because if there's anyone like me out there, you might hear that, like, you can respond from fear or you can respond from joy, and then you get absolutely paralyzed in overthinking about how you're responding to something. But I also want to put out there, I believe that even if you have that moment where you respond to something in fear, there's the ability to course correct from that. It's not like an all or nothing path or decision, in my opinion. I think that even in those moments, because that's where we learn and grow the most, is in
Right.
those moments, if we do respond from a place of fear or from a place of ego, if we can learn the discernment and the self-awareness of that, we can course correct back to love and
Absolutely.
joy.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So we don't want to get into our heads about this. When I'm talking about this, I'm talking about feeling into the body. And the mind gets overwrought. The mental body just wants to, run the same program over and over and over and over again, and just, in a closed loop kind of thing. And the body then has a more of a awareness of where the energy is,
Mhm.
because the mind gets shut off to all of that. And so getting absolutely true. You if you get too much in your mind, then what's going to happen is that you will respond from that place of the mind rather than that aligned place of the heart. And where that's, for me, joy sits in my heart. And I can, when it triggers, it's like this warm glow that kind of just fills me up. And I can, and I know at first, when it first comes on to me, I grin like an idiot, but I'm not walking around that way every day. It's just there to tap into. So that's, yes, you're absolutely right. I have nothing to counter with that. You're, except for the fact that, um, if you if you can train your brain to recognize when you're feeling the impulse to jump in the middle of the fight when it's not your fight. And as you know, I explained, I have a friend who her mantra is not my circus, not my monkeys. And that's what I've started saying. I've got to put this in my head. It's not my circus, it's not my monkeys, because that way it triggers me to pull back. Because, my Aries personality, I want to, like, get right into the fight, right? Mars rules, right? So let's go. I'm ready. There, what is that meme where the two people are talking? It's like, I need you to come with me. I can't tell you what's going on. I can't tell you what about it, but some people are gonna get hurt. And the other person said, the Aries goes, whose car are we taking? So that's the whole jump in the middle of it. But
Mhm.
if it's not yours to jump into, and unless you are, you know, committed to supporting someone else's fight, you don't need to be in there. It's not your circus, it's not your monkeys.
It's so true. And I would say that with, the sensitives of not taking on the emotions of that either,
Mm,
because sometimes it's easy to take on and absorb the
mm.
emotions of other people's circus and monkeys and
Oh
then let that
gosh,
impact
yes.
you enormously, right?
Yes.
Because I've let that, I've had that happen. I'm not, it doesn't happen to me. I've let that happen. And in my learning and reprogramming of myself, I'm learning not to let that happen. And I've
Right.
learned to have empathy, compassion without absorbing other people's stuff.
I know it's so hard to be an empath. So hard. You have to learn to protect yourself. And so for you, that's the trigger is when you feel that, right? So you
Yeah.
go, I'm not going to do that again,
Yeah.
or
And for
I'm going to
me,
hold space.
and to your point, it starts with training your mind to just be able to recognize that stuff, I think, because and then like you said, and then move it from the mind of recognition into the heart of then from the action, where do I need to go? And that's where you can be led from. But it's like the two have to work together, right? It's not
Mm.
heart led, mind led. It's like awareness in the mind, action from the heart. There you go.
Awareness in the mind and action of the heart. You said it. You heard it here, folks. Um, but yes, and also having the awareness of your own and having the respect for yourself and the love of yourself. That, I mean, that self-love is having boundaries and respect for other people's journeys.
Mhm.
I'm the fixer, right? I'm the one that in my family that my mom always came to make it go away, to fix it, right? I can't, that I have learned to have the respect for my sisters and my siblings' journeys, personal journeys. I don't need to be in the middle of that. I don't need to be altering the course of what they may be set out as a soul program or soul work in order to learn. And if I fix it, then the lesson remains unlearned, right?
Yep. Yep. I am 100% also that person, like going because it's like you just want everybody to be great and okay and move through life in a smooth way. And so if you can see something a couple steps ahead and you're like, oh, that's going to be a pothole. Let's go fill it before they step in it.
Yeah.
And then they never learn to look for potholes.
Boom. That's
Yep.
exactly right. That's exactly right. And I have a sibling that what we stepped in, the baby of the family. We stepped in and made things okay for her so many times that I think about what her life could have been if she had learned the lessons that we took from her.
Mm,
And she's a lovely person, but she could have been a completely different kind of person had we allowed that to unfold and those lessons to unfold,
sure.
right? So yeah, it's huge. And I'm sure everyone has something that they can connect to in regards to when you've stepped in and made it okay for somebody, but then never really and thought, oh, from an ego perspective, oh, didn't I do such a good job? Aren't I a nice person? No, when you're doing something like that from a place of ego, you're not benefiting the person you're helping.
Hmm.
You're just not. You're not allowing them to navigate their own life.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've
And
basically taken the wheel off the boat and you're steering for somebody else, and that's not okay.
And I think, for those listening, think about this. I mean, whether you're a parent, right? And you're thinking about this in terms of your kids. So now I'm preaching to parents. I'm not a parent, but I'm going to draw the parallels here, right? That's the same
Okay.
thing for kids, but same thing in leadership,
Mm,
right? And it doesn't really matter what level of leadership you're in. If you're in leadership, and I did an episode on this on my podcast actually, is, there's a difference between being, leading people and managing people, right?
mm,
And when
mm.
you're in that space of, let's say, heart-led leadership, is you're leading people to their greatest potential and sometimes letting them step in their potholes so they can learn from it versus, I think the manager energy is like you got to manage all the problems and fix all the problems and manage all the circumstances. So, think about this in those frames depending on whether, where you are in your life. This is applicable.
Right, exactly. But management in today's world, uh, it's a catch-22 because you're measured on different play things like productivity or output or this or that. And if you've allowing somebody to mess up and have to do again, then that delays the outcome. And so then it reflects on you. Well, so it really is a catch-22 in the corporate world. But when you're out of like middle management, for example, you can get into the higher levels where you can kind of see across the board, then that really, what you just said, I see can really apply in terms of allowing people to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Um, and because, you can, and this is actually, was it IBM? No, what, maybe it was Apple, the Steve Jobs. They what am I thinking about? The whole culture was built on removing fear out of experimenting or taking a chance, or so that allowing people to fail um, actually brought the company more success.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know which one that was either, but it's that concept to me is like, because it is an interesting balance, right? So now my Libra is going to come out. There's a balance to all of this, right? Because you can't have like complete chaos with everyone just kind of doing whatever they want and messing up. And, of course not. But there is, especially with innovation and growth, there is a space for
Mhm.
being able to take risks and
Right.
experiment and to move things forward. But there has to be some kind of parameters and maybe a container around that.
Absolutely. Again, we come to the divine masculine, divine feminine thing. The divine masculine builds the safe boundary for the creative feminine to blossom, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so when you have a corporate culture that doesn't have boundaries but encourages the creation, then it doesn't it's all over the place. But if you have no, if you have boundaries that are too constrictive, and there's the boundaries are laden with fear, then that shuts down the creative aspect of the corporate culture.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it both ways. I've seen it both ways. But yeah, to your point, it's really a good way to look at it. It really it applies to just about everybody, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. And spoiler alert, if you're operating from that inner compass of joy, you're going to automatically find the right balance.
Yes, yes. You mentioned something to me before we went on the air that you had had something over the weekend that was in alignment with what we were talking about.
Yes. So this is an example of the chaos, like how navigating just natural life chaos,
Mm.
but also, the attraction of operating from that inner joy, right? So uh, Dr. Pat and Linda have relocated themselves to the East Coast. And it's been a bit of a process. And so we were doing the kind of like final mad dash on Saturday to get all the last things in storage, get packed up, get them to the hotel to get early on the plane the next morning, right? So if you can imagine, there's a lot of moving parts in this normal life thing, right? And there
Yes.
was chaos and I was moving quickly. And so these two women, um, I mean, obviously they are very mentally and spiritually strong, but they are physically strong as well. I mean, there's a lot of moving happening. But on this particular day, I was the only other muscle. And you can imagine everyone's tired and there's still like heavy things to move and things to do. And we're not even just the surface of the day. And I step out onto the deck with wet shoes. And this is a deck that's on a hill.
Oh
So the
no.
deck and then a step and then the ground, but the ground kind of like immediately slopes. I slip on the top, move to the second, and also then thought I was going to catch myself, slip again, and then onto the ground and slip a third time and roll my ankle inward with just a giant pop. Like it was like a loud pop and like immediately you kind of get that like cold sweats. And so I'm on the ground and Linda's out in the yard and I'm cursing like a sailor. And she went, "Oh my God, did you fall?" And I said, "Yes." And she's like, "Okay, and so then things start to set in because I'm really hurt right now. Like, and so all of those emotions, and of course, like I'm hurting physically. And then and so then luckily, we've got all the things. We got the ice packs, we got the wraps, we got the Aleve, and there's still a bed intact. And so I lay on the bed, get the ice packs, get the wrap, and then the reality sets in that I may not be able to help.
Mm.
And we are on a time schedule today. Like it's not like oh, we'll just do it tomorrow or whatever, right? I mean, it's like I'm the only one here. And so then there's the panic that starts to set in among all of us, like, because they're like, "Oh my God, does she need to go to the hospital?" And I'm going, "I don't think I can help. And I don't know who else is gonna help." But because the three of us have some semblance of an inner compass, right?
Hmm.
There's an attraction thing that happened here. So here's where the good news is. Out of kind of randomly nowhere, friends came over, the owners of the house, but also friends came over because they didn't say they were coming, but they were going to just do a couple things, right?
Mm.
Immediately saw that there was some chaos happening here. Immediately were like, "How can we help?" And so we ended up with two more people to help. And like after about a half an hour of icing and Aleve, and I was able to hobble around to be somewhat helpful the rest of the day. And I went to immediately a place of gratitude because I went to gratitude for those people that randomly showed up and randomly were available to help for an enormous part of that day. And gratitude that that's all that happened because of the scenario and the deck and the, I mean, I could have broken something. I mean, it could have
Yes.
been so bad. And so I went to gratitude. And we made it through this day with like unexpected chaos among the expected chaos, and it all turned out okay.
Well, when you said you heard something pop, I thought for sure you had broken your ankle, but you hadn't.
No,
You just kind of dislocated it.
it was, I think it was probably like the popping of a torn ligament, I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm.
I've never, so, and I've sprained that ankle many times before, but usually where you sprain your ankle and you turn it like outward. This one I turned inward, which was even weirder.
You might, my husband popped his Achilles tendon,
Mm,
and by leaping up onto his bicycle. He was, just pulling up to, and I literally heard it pop, and he was down for the count. So, and that is a very, that needs to be operated on. That needs to have,
yeah.
you need to have surgery when you pop that tendon. So
I'm
I
pretty
hope
sure
you,
it's
I
not
hope,
that.
I hope you've gone to see your
Yeah.
primary care.
Yeah, it's all good. It's not that. It's not quite that serious. It's just a really
Okay.
really bad sprain. But yeah, it's just, to me it felt like, as I was thinking about it this morning, I was like, "Oh, that is an example of like that's just life. Like things are going to happen.
Yeah.
Things are going to happen in life and they're going to send you off course or you're going to get injured or something."
Absolutely. And you could have said, oh, well, hell, of course this would happen to me. I mean, of all the days and all the time, I'm going to be completely out of it and I can't help them. And, you would have gone down that rabbit hole of ego and, blame game,
Mhm.
self-deprecation, all that other stuff that is so easy to fall into. So I love that you were able to switch out of that, to pull yourself out of that, inner kind of woe is me kind of thing, and be able to see how, wow, look at what we've manifested. We've manifested more help. Here's the thing, and I'm able to do small stuff now. We got this sprain kind of tackled in time, and I'm going to be okay. So yeah, and with that mindset, you are going to be okay. You will be.
Mhm.
You're healing rapidly, correct?
Mhm.
That was
Exactly.
Saturday. This is Monday. So you can say, well, and you're walking around pretty well now?
Yeah,
Yeah,
ish.
ish. Still kind of need a little
It's
crutch or
pretty
something.
tender. Yeah,
Mm,
I've got a brace, and I'm tenderly walking around because I'm just 48 hours past, so I'm still doing the rest and ice and elevation a lot, and then of course walking around a little bit and testing out my range of motion, and
mm.
it's a process. And you're, to your point, I'm healing, and that's what I'm saying. Linda called to check in on me, and she's like, "How's your ankle?" And I'm like, "I'm healing."
I'm healing.
That's
Yes,
what I'm putting there, though. I am healing.
that's great. And again, to our previous comments about situational kind of things, well, we'd said the situation is the situation, and how you respond to it,
Yeah.
which is from your perspective with gratitude, makes all the difference.
Mhm.
And
And
so, go ahead.
well, and I'll just say, like, and this was kind of that course correcting moment
Yeah.
because I didn't immediately go to gratitude. So let's just put that out there. Like, I didn't roll my ankle and go, "Oh, I'm so glad I only rolled my ankle."
Heck no.
I cry. I laid on that bed and I went into self pity and I went into fear and I had myself a big blubbery sobbing cry about the pain, about the fear of what's going to happen, and about all the things. And it was like about an hour of like transition out of that. I
Yeah.
let myself feel those things.
Yes, exactly. If you had just bottled that up instead of allowing it to release through tears,
Mhm.
it would have probably turned bitter.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I let that like and that's I guess to the people listening, it's not like a immediately you just feel gratitude when something horrible happens, but you can move through to that place. You can
Yeah.
find it. And I do truly believe that it was, their compass, their calm, like all of us kind of having our moment to move through all of those fear and all of those emotions and like WTF are we going to do now? And and coming back to
Yeah.
that center place and that calm and that knowing that it's all going to be okay. And that's what attracted help.
Yes. Yes. Because it there was a synergy with the three of you,
Mm-hmm,
with where this energy was coming, was how it was being kind of processed within
mm-hmm.
the three of you, that, you know, that broadcast, we need help.
Yeah,
And there
yeah.
you are. That is
And
awesome.
and those are tools. They're learned tools.
They are.
And that's, I mean, I think to the point of, I mean, I don't do this work, but you do, is
Yeah.
the point of getting the support and the help and exercising those muscles and learning those tools and putting them into practice is a process. And we're not always
Mm,
going to get it right or perfect, but we can always continue to grow and expand from it.
that's beautiful. And so with that, we're going to take a little break. And when we come back, we're going to have our crystals and stones, but we're still going to be talking about this navigation stuff because there's a whole nother element around soul resonance that we want to chat with you about. So we'll be right back. Stay tuned. Hi there, welcome back to the Crystal Coach Show. I'm your host, Anahata, and we're talking today with my special guest, Jesica Henderson, about navigating life, just navigating life. And actually, right before the break, Jessica was telling us a story about how she was trying to help somebody and then fell and just really tore up her ankle and went through all of the emotions associated with when plans go awry and you can't do what you expected to do and all this sort of stuff. But it really brought to mind that mindset means everything. Where you can take, you know knowing that you've got another place to go, that mindset of possibilities, the mindset that I have this inner compass, and that if I look at things from that inner compass, it guides me to gratitude, it guides me to joy, it guides me to love, it guides me to peace, it guides me to passion. It's the place where I can go to really know my true north, right? And we've been calling this now, is kind of what I do, is this soul resonance. And how do you get to this place of soul resonance? Because that's really like basically aligning everyday action to your soul frequency. So that's the frequency of connection and love and joy, right? So let's talk a minute about ways that we could have a mindset of getting to that inner compass of joy through that resonance with the soul.
Yeah. I think about the question that's been ingrained in me through doing this network and the teachings and all the people. And it's the question of what else is possible. When you're
Mm.
faced with something, anything,
Mm.
it's the question of what else is possible and trying to frame your mind into that solution, into that we can pivot, we can do something. There's possibility here, even if we don't see it yet. You have to ask
Hmm.
the question first.
That's true. That's really true. Because when you get into, like, for example, the mindset of why is everything happening to me, or looking at that, looking at every situation from a place of negativity, of, you know, of course this is going to happen. Well, just almost an expectation of the worst case scenario, right?
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing. You're putting your energy there. So guess what? The universe just matches your energy
Hmm.
and gives you what you don't really want, but that's what you're expecting, right? So
Hmm.
the resonance in terms of that match, that frequency match of your soul with your mindset helps you to switch out of one into the gratitude and going back to your story where you are so grateful that help arrived, that there was a way for you to manage, the injury and still contribute to the project. And you felt even better, and then your healing has progressed
Hmm.
rapidly because you have switched to that more positive frame, that compass of soul resonance, that compass of joy that kind of guides you along your way. If you allow it, if you understand that, of course, you have, as you say, throughout all the years that you've worked for Transformation Talk Radio, you know that you have this skill set, and you've done some work around clearing out those limiting beliefs and those emotional blocks that keep people stuck in
Hmm.
that negative viewpoint, and unable to see anything but the darkness, the worst possible outcome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the anxiety that results from that is just, it's debilitating.
It absolutely is. And I feel like we're all on different, let's say, parts of our journey, right?
Mm,
And there's nothing wrong if you are the person that is in that space right now. There's nothing wrong with you. If you're in the person that is in that anxiety, in the everything is happening to me and everything is going wrong, great. Then you know where you are.
mm,
And you have to look at the possibility that you can clear that, you can heal that, and you can shift that into a new perspective and a new way of being. And I
right.
think it's really easy to, if you're already in that, to think, well, I'm in it and I'm never getting out of it. And, that's also just a story you're telling. And so
Right.
I've been there. I've been there. I'm speaking from true experience of I have gone so down that depressive, everything's wrong, nothing's ever going to get better. And then like seeing myself from the outside and that what happened this weekend and how I reacted and how it's a different person. It's a different person. And so I know that there's possibility in shifting out of that. You just have to do the work. You have to get yourself the mind training, the tools, the body work, and get yourself somebody who can help you because I haven't done that by myself.
Mm-mm. No, none of us can. We can do it only so far, and then we need help to really get over the big hump. You
Mhm.
know, it's every, if your teacher or your coach or your healer doesn't go to someone else to get work for them, I don't recommend you continuing to work with that person because they're not doing their work, and
Yeah.
it's ongoing. It's not just, you don't one day wake up and go, I've done all my work. No, not as long as you're taking breath and your heart's beating. You're not done with your work, right? So yeah, I totally get that. That there's just so much that the possibilities, as you say, there's so much possibility that people either are completely unaware of or unable to break out of. And that breaks my heart when I see the people that are just so committed to that perspective that they can't, they've just they got blinders on. And they
Hmm.
cannot see that there's any other way to be or to live. And gosh, you know, if you're listening to this and you say, well, that's me, understand that there's always room for change. There's always room for miracles. There's always room for joy, even in the darkest parts of yourself. There's a light there called joy.
Those that are here right now, listening,
Yeah.
watching, whether you're getting this live or you're getting it some other time, this is your first miracle because you coming across this episode and us talking about this is that first sign that there is possibility for you. There is room to grow. There is joy waiting for you to
Mm.
rediscover, because otherwise why would you click on this episode, or why would this, or what, maybe somebody sent it to you, right? It ended up in your sphere, in your resonance field for a reason.
Yes. Yes. The universe works like that.
Mhm.
When you're open to new possibilities, you get them presented to you in a myriad of ways. Oh, wow. Okay. So that that sounds really good. I think we could just kind of package that up in a bow right there. Um, I would like to shift gears just a little bit in the last part of um, our hour in our show is to talk about crystals and stones because that's my jam. And I always end all of my episodes with some recommendations for what you could do if you were interested in working with the frequencies of crystals and stones. If you're interested in, trying to work through some of the blocks, if you're interested in some of uh, the ways to connect to your heart and to joy, I've got some crystals here that could help you. Um, so let me see. The first one that came up is when we're talking about joy and we're talking about heart and we're talking about connection. Amethyst. Amethyst is one of my favorite. It was my very first stone that I ever bought when I started getting interested in crystals. And it is a frequency of divine connection. So there's just so much going on with amethyst anyway. It's an inner frequency because it's made inside a geode. This is part of a geode, right? Can you see it was part of a bigger thing? So it forms within a hollowness of an enclosed rock. And the purple is a kind of a combination of iron and manganese. So it kind of makes this color, but it is such a good stone to support your first efforts in trying to make that reconnection to your own divine self. So I would highly recommend if that's something that is pulling at you or if it resonates with you, then amethyst is something that you can start to explore, work with, um, meditate with, keep by your bedside. Well, I don't know. It's a wind element. I wouldn't keep it by your bedside. You can keep it in your room or your office for sure. And but yeah, it's great for the environment. So you just let your body tell you how to use it if you're interested in working with it. But that's the frequency of it. Um, and then as I've got you get I figure people that listen to me regularly get kind of bored with me harping on this, but rose quartz, rose quartz, always. It is, I've got rose quartz everywhere in my house, rose quartz all throughout my office. It's just the it's self-love. It's just love, just the heart. It's pink. I just love it. It's just like a pat on the head or a hug. So when you get to the point where you're feeling kind of down and you need a little, there's nobody to hug you, get a piece of rose quartz and just hold on to it. It is like a hug. It's truly like a hug. Um, green calcite. Green calcite is also really good for that heart connection. It's, because the heart chakra light from a light frequency, there's green for healing, there's pink for love and compassion and joy. Okay. Um, let me see here. You know, Jessica, you did talk about how you can get so in your head and you get overwhelmed and you just can't even access that part of you that could find the gratitude, right? So um, I I I was guided to bring out smoky quartz. Now, smoky quartz is an earth element and it's all about the physical, but if you need to ground, you know, your mind is pulling your soul out of your body. So let's pull it back in. That's why you feel so frantic, because you're not integrated into your physical vessel. So when you start to feel kind of panicked or I don't know what to do or what, just get some smoky quartz and allow it to just pull you back in. It's it's a quick and easy fix to make you just kind of take a couple of deep breaths and, oh yeah, here I am. Right. I'd forgotten. Um, Clear quartz, believe it or not, it's amplifying, but it is a way to broadcast love and to also receive it. You can program a clear quartz to hold this frequency of love. If you are in a really wonderful headspace or you're feeling love and you've got this clear quartz, you sit with that and with the intention of of programming yourself. You put it in your right hand. Yes, put it in your right hand and allow the love that's coming from your heart to flow down into your arm and into the clear quartz. Then when when it's all filled up and you feel good and you know that that rock is really hard, it's hot. It can get really hot when it's working. Then you can set it aside. And the next time you need to have that kind of jolt of love and peace, and you put it in your left hand, which is your receiving hand. Now, if you're a left-handed person, you just put it in your non-dominant hand. That it, you know, lefties go right, righties go left. It's all right. It's fine. Whatever is your receiving and dominating, okay? So you put it in your non-dominant hand with the point going up. When you're programming um, the points going out. When you're programming is points going out. When you're receiving, the points going up. Okay. And you just sit with that and you just ask for that frequency to be downloaded. Um, and you'll be filled with the love again. And so it's beautiful. And it keeps it keeps that frequency. Excuse me. It keeps that frequency for until you like clear it. Once you clear it, then you can program it to hold something else and to amplify something else, some other, you know, whether it's gratitude or um, it's confidence or whatever positive emotion you want to program. That's what clear quartz does. Uh, this little piece is called Thulite. It's found in Greenland. And as far as I know, this is the only one I've ever run across that just holds joy, nothing else, just joy, joy and heart connection. If I'm wearing one of these, if I'm carrying one of these, it's in my bra next to my heart. And it's because it's pink and it's also green. So, um, anyway, I guess we're going to wrap up. I can't believe it. We've done the whole hour, Jessica. The last one I want to say is the hidden night. I always talk to you about gratitude. This is hidden night, gratitude, but it's also unconditional love, as is kunzite. So you guys have a great day and navigate your life through all that you can. If you want to see Jessica's podcast, it's not on a regular schedule, is it now, Jessica?
It's not. I'm just recording and releasing episodes, but you can find them at thepossibilityperspective.com.
Thepossibilityperspective.com. Great. And if you have any questions about navigating and your inner compass of joy, you can reach out to me at thecrystalcoach.com or mycrystalcoach@gmail.com. That's all we have for today. I'm Anahata Roach, the Crystal Coach. Bye for now.
You have been listening to The Crystal Coach Show, helping you live every day with clarity, guidance, and practical wisdom. With me, your host, Anahata. Tune in every first and third Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific Time on TransformationTalkRadio.com, where we channel divine wisdom through stories of service, spirituality, and stones for self-care. Feel connected and reside in the vibration of love on The Crystal Coach Show. For more information and to become the best version of yourself, visit thecrystalcoach.com. That's thecrystalcoach.com. See you next time.